Okay, so this is the Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown. So you'll see this monument several times throughout the movie, including the very opening scene where they sort of show like a time lapse with some clouds going by. But you'll see this depicted throughout the movie, and anybody who's ever been to Boston, especially to Charlestown, knows this monument. Very recognizable, but it does make a few appearances in different scenes throughout the movie. Okay, I'm here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, outside of the Cambridge Savings Bank, as you can clearly see. And this is in Harvard Square. Pretty familiar area, a recognizable area, I should say. Harvard University is literally across the street. But this is the first bank that was robbed in the movie The Town. This is the location that they used for the exterior shots. The interior shots were done actually at another bank. Just doing the exterior shots for this. Okay, so I came across the street here just to show you what this looks like up close. You can see these Cambridge Savings Bank placards that are here right on the front entrance, and in the movie they would have had their van literally parked here. They were sitting here. This is not a place that you would normally have parked, but they were sitting here waiting for the armored car employee to come up the sidewalk, and right when he went into these doors is when they stormed in. Okay, now here on the side of the bank, this is the Cambridge Savings is right there on the front. But after the robbery, Gloansy's driving the van. You see him come right out of this alleyway as he turns and goes down the street. So he was their getaway driver. But I'll show you right where he would have turned out. And it's a gated alleyway. It's not a throughway or anything like that. But these gates would have been open during filming, and the van would have been in here. Yeah. Go. So he just pulled out, made a right-hand turn, and went down this way. So later in the movie, this Cambridge Savings Bank that you see right here on this pillar, when Agent Frawley and Dion were here to investigate what had just happened, they're both standing right here. You can clearly see that sign visible.
I was too busy working. Use the van to screen the door.
Okay, this location right out in front of me, right out here, is where after the first bank robbery, they would have driven their getaway vehicle here and would have set it on fire, and it would have burned. So you can see this dumpster area that's here with the cement brick walls that run around it. That's visible in the background, as is this apartment building. You can see that in that shot as well. But the opening part of that shot begins way back here, out there. It was like a drone shot. See that part of the bridge that's out there? You can see that as they're flying back towards here. You can see in the air as they get over here, you can see like a big plume of smoke that was coming from right over here is where the vehicle was on fire. So they show basically the fire trucks and everything were here trying to put out the car fire, which is right out here. Okay, so this is the exterior of the ice rink that was used in the movie The Town. You only really see the exterior of it from right here where I'm showing you. This is after the first bank robbery, when the guys were going to meet here at the ice rink. They show Doug walking up the sidewalk here. You can definitely see those freeway overpasses in the background, and this structure's new, so it didn't look like this during filming. It would have been just more of like a one-story, like a long rectangular structure. But they show him cross the street, and the camera kind of pans behind him, and then he walks over here to this door over here. You can clearly see that window when he does it. And this has like a security gate on it now, how that gate kind of drops down, that grated gate. But if you were to lift this gate, there's two doors that are on here. He kind of walks over here to the right. They don't really ever show him walk into it, but obviously the next scene is shot from inside the arena of the door opening and him coming through.
Is that what we are now? Nice job.
They do show the guys meeting on the seats. So right when you walk in here, there's a seating section that runs along parallel to the ice. So that scene would have been filmed right inside here.
Take the scenic route? Got a problem. What? Oh, look.
Okay, I'm standing in South Boston at a location that was used in the movie The Town. See this True Value hardware store that's across the street? That's where Fergie's flower shop was. So it was inside this building. It's since turned into a True Value. So it actually used to be a floral shop at one time. So when they were filming the movie The Town, that was actually an active business for this building. Okay, so I'm across the street now, and this is just the True Value facade now. But the store for the flower shop would have been right here in the same spot. It would have been right in here. And of course you see like Doug and Desmond and Jem and the whole crew come here. They're in here meeting with Fergie. Rusty would have been in the back. So when they walk in, they would have gone straight back.
All right. Fergie, kids here.
But this is the location that they use. They showed it a few times. They come out here a few times, and they even showed the FBI agents staking it out. But this is it. This is the building that they used. Okay, so this house right here in front of me, this residence, this would have been Claire's house in the movie The Town. She would have come in and out of those doors right there. And they show her come out with her laundry. She goes down to the corner and goes down to the laundromat. Which actually is down that hill. It's just one block over. But this is the house that was used as Claire's house in the movie The Town. Okay, so this building that's right here is where the laundromat used to be located that was used in the movie The Town. This is the laundromat that would have been the one that Claire went to wash her clothes, where Doug followed her in and, of course, struck up a conversation with her inside. So unfortunately, it's no longer a laundromat. It's changed. It's something different now. But I'll walk across here and show you. This is where the entrance for the laundromat would have been, right here. So the entrance is still the same. It's just it's a different business now. So it's no longer the laundromat. I think I read something that there may have been a fire, but this is the same footprint, the same building that it would have been housed in, and of course they would have gone in and did their laundry, and that's where he struck up a conversation with her. And you can kind of see inside of it here now. It's sort of like a classroom or something for children now, but this is where the laundry room would have been. You would have kind of entered in through this door and then gone to the right. I'm getting a glare, but it would be to the right, kind of over here. There's another view. So this is where Doug would have been sitting there watching the machines. I think she was drying clothes, if I remember correctly. They were against that back wall that you see here to the left. And he would have been sitting sort of in a chair, just when I think she asked him for change. That all occurred right inside here when this building used to be the laundromat. There is a scene that they show Doug waiting for her, where he's standing like right here and his head is like kind of here, and you can see that decorative design in the woodwork that's behind his head.
There she is. Sad?
Yes.
So this is just a quick shot of Neptune Oyster that's across the street right here. This is where Doug and Claire would have gone to dinner the night that they went out, and they were obviously eating oysters there. But
So what do you do for work?
Boston sand and gravel. I break rocks. Punch a ticket at the end of the day, slide down the back of a brontosaurus like Fred Flintstone, call it a night.
this is the restaurant they use the interior for. It's obviously busy, and I'm not dressed to go into a place like this right now, but I'm just showing you the exterior of it. This is the restaurant right here that they used for that scene. All right, so this location right here in front of me, this building right here, is where Sully's once stood. This is where the bar that they show several times, most notably when Doug and Jem are meeting up and talking. But Krista's here, you know, one night when Doug comes, meets the guys out for drinks. Unfortunately, the bar is not here anymore, as you can probably tell from what I'm showing you. It's a residential building now, but it looks, the footprint of it looks very much the way it did during filming. So you can see how it runs right alongside of this road, as well as this one comes right to the corner. The telephone pole that you see standing right here is still standing. That was visible in the movie, and the doorway would have been right here. So there would have been a larger window here, and the doorway would have been, there would have been a little step that you can kind of see where they've cut it out. See the concrete here, how it's like a little bit of a variation in color. The step would have been right here, so the door to Sully's would have been right here. So you would have entered, and then they were sitting in a booth, or I should say a table, I'm sorry. There would have been a big window that was here, and there would have been another large window that was right here. But when Doug comes in here and sits down to talk to Jem, right out the window, you see this.
Checking that thing.
What?
License?
Yeah.
So it would have been right over my shoulder from where I'm showing you, a little higher up, so you see the traffic that was moving on the freeways over here, on the bridges. But you can see this view of Boston right over here, in particular the bridge. You can see the support cables and the beams, as well as the skyline.
So no need to remove it from the equation.
What?
Everything. What are you, trucker man now?
But that was all visible in that shot. And let me spin back around here. As I said, right here is where the doorway was. Now they also show when Jem is coming to meet Doug here, he comes right around the corner here, and you can see this telephone pole. Sully's, the edge of the building was right where this one is. So that, as I said, the footprint is still the same. But Jem comes around the corner, right in between Sully's and the telephone pole. And then he comes right up here to where the doorway would have been, and he walks in. I'll show you from over here. But as I said, several scenes were filmed right here. I wish it was still the establishment it was during filming, but this is what it looks like today. Okay, so this is the Dunkin' Donuts that Claire and Doug went to in downtown Boston.
When the guy attacked David, I could see.
This is one of the window panes. The table that they would have been sitting in was right inside this window here.
The back of his neck, and he had a tattoo.
What?
was one of those fighting Irish tattoos.
But it's completely changed. So it's not even recognizable as a Dunkin' Donuts. But this is the store. The front door would have been right here. The front windows would have been right there. And I don't know what it's going to turn into, but it's clearly not a Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
All right, so when Jem and Doug are on their way to rough up the guys that were hassling Claire, this is the road that they parked on. They parked their car right here on the left. And as they get out their sledgehammer and hockey masks and walk across the street, right here, if you freeze it right here, you can see the Bunker Hill Monument, which I said is shown several times throughout the movie. But right here is the spot where they cross over the street. And then this is the entrance to the building that they go into. They come running down the side of this building. You can see how everything matches up, with the windows, the gates, and then they run up the steps to this door, and then they enter this building. This is just a quick shot of Charlestown before they show the community garden. They shot an angle from right here, so you can see these. I don't know if they're apartments or townhouses, what they are, but you can see the monument right there in the scene. So they shoot it right here in front of the water before they show the community garden. Okay, I'm here in Charlestown at the Charlestown Community Garden.
So, do your parents still live in Charlestown?
Just as you saw in the movie, the town, this is a community garden. It's gone through a refurbishment, so it looks a little different than it did during filming. But this is right where Claire and would have been doing a gardening, talking with Doug. So I'll show you exactly where they were. There's a few things that I was able to line up. There's a light pole right here, and right there, it's kind of hard to see, but that's a bench. It's a picnic table there, but I'm focused on that bench. And there's a little bit of an extended patio that runs out onto there, sort of like a little observation viewing area for this body of water that's over here. You can see a guy fishing, but the water comes in here, so it kind of extends out. But they filmed the opening scene. The opening shot of that scene basically was from right here, and you can see that pole, that bench, and that opening over there. And Doug and Claire were right down in here.
No, my father finally made it up.
Now these planters weren't here like this. These wooden planters weren't here. But the reason I know it was right in there from matching all of those up is also with this bench that's right here. You can see these. Let me step over here. There's 3 poles that are kind of right along here. There's 1, 2, and 3. The 2 and the 3 you can see at the tail end. I'm sorry, at the end of it, at the end of the bench. If you follow it straight back up to right about in here, in that shot, that's where they were sitting.
No, my father finally made it out to the suburbs.
What about your mother?
I couldn't tell you. She left when I was 6.
So you can see, let me back out one more time and show you. You can see, you can line all that up. That bench is right there. Claire was here, Doug was there. So this is where they've been doing, she had been doing her gardening, and she was trying to get him to open up about his family. He was a little reluctant to, but then he started talking. But you can clearly see all of those, I don't know if they're apartments or what they are, that are over there. You can also see that bridge in the background. And this is right here is where Doug and Claire would have been sitting. Okay, I'm here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I'm at the Grendel's Den, which is this restaurant. You can see the sign right here. And it's right on Winthrop Park, which is right here. And I'm at the exact table that Doug and Claire would have been sitting in their scene in the movie The Town. Doug would have been sitting right there. Claire would have been sitting right there.
They can't believe, good luck, you moved to Charlestown, hooked up with a rock-breaking townie.
And the easiest way that you can tell this is the exact table that they used is this sidewalk and this like roadway. This table sort of hangs out. It comes up onto the sidewalk. You can see how Most of these other ones are flush against the park. This one in particular sort of sits out here on the edge. And this is the one that they were sitting in.
I just think it's a rebound.
So you can also see these posts, posts for the park, as well as there's a doorway right there in that building across the street. So when Doug and Claire are sitting there, you can see that lined up. Claire was sitting here talking with Doug about her telling her friends about her relationship and how they thought it was a rebound, and then she was also opening up about how her brother passed away on a day like today, which is very similar to what it was like during filming.
My brother died on a day like this.
But Claire excused herself but had to use the restroom, so she went up those steps into the restroom.
And you'll miss me while I'm gone.
So one of my favorite scenes in the movie happened right here at this location when Doug was sitting right here in this chair. After Claire went to the restroom, he just sort of looks to his right and he looks down this alleyway. And you can see that steeple top at Harvard University. And he's just sort of staring in that general direction when you see an airplane kind of fly behind the steeple top. And that's when he hears Jem's voice behind him, and Jem's kind of like putting his finger to the back of his head like he has a gun. And then of course Doug, the mood completely changes.
Money, bitch.
What the fuck you doing there?
But during that time that he's looking at the steeple, it's like quiet, it's like peaceful, you know, he's just staring off, listening to the sounds of the plane, and then all of a sudden everything completely changes. So that's when Jem sits down right here, and when he's sitting here in the chair, he notices there's a Hawaiian pizza on the plate. So he knows Doug is here with somebody.
What's this? Who are you here with, huh? No one. I'm myself. Let's get out of here. You tell me this is yours? Yeah. Yeah? Fucking Hawaiian pizza?
And when Jem's sitting there, you can see this Winthrop Park right beside him when he's sitting in that chair. That's when Doug looks up to the steps and sees Claire coming down the stairs. And as she's coming down, she shoots a glance over to him, and it's in slow motion. And you can tell he knows that he's in a hell of a situation, because this thing could just turn extremely bad in a hurry, because she told him that she can identify one of the bank robbers by a tattoo on the back of his neck, which was the Fighting Irish logo that Jem had on the back of his neck.
Hi.
Hi. Hey.
Claire.
Hey, Jem.
Jim?
Jem.
You can see Doug shooting Jem a bunch of sharp looks.
Read about that. It's crazy. Oh.
And Jem would have been sitting right where I am now. He moved to this seat.
Did you say your name was Jim or Jem?
Jem, well, it's both, actually. Teachers, when we're growing up, you know, they used to always say, hey, you can have this one. He's a real gem.
After the conversation, when they go to stand up, Doug kind of puts his hand on the back of Jem's neck so that Claire doesn't see that tattoo.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself, all right? You good?
I'll see you home. Hey, it was nice to meet you.
But all of those scenes happen right here in this general location. So this is the Grendel's Den. This is Winthrop Park. This is Cambridge, Massachusetts, and this is the location for that scene. All right, so when the guys are going to rob the second bank in the movie, they come right down this road right here. So they turn around this corner. They're making a right onto the street that I'm standing on, so they come around that corner. So they come right down the road in this direction, and you'll recognize probably this. You can clearly see this building. I don't know if you pronounce that Baco. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but you can clearly see that. And then this is the building that was used as the bank. Now it's actually a laundromat, But if you remember, when they come right about here, when they're coming down the road, they're like, you know, like, where the hell's the truck? The armored truck isn't out there yet.
Where the fuck's the truck?
So what they do is they make a loop. They go back around. So they go down, turn, and they loop around the neighborhood and come back and do it all over again. So when they come back the second time, that's when the armored truck is there. And then you can also see this. There's like a pillar or something that's right here, but this is all visible in that scene, right straight ahead.
Say your prayers. Here we go.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie happened right here when the van is coming down the street. So Doug is riding in the back seat behind the driver's side. This is a road, so these partitions here are blocking it off, but there's a roadway that's right here. So as they come down the road, they pass these storefronts right here. So you see all these storefronts that are along here. But right when they come past here, notice this little like grate and this door right here that says 18. And there's a little bit of a pillar that's in between the two. It's hard for me to get it because there's a car right here from where I'm trying to shoot. But right as they're going past this intersection, or I'm sorry, down this road right here, there's a little boy standing right here by this post. So you can see this door beside him, and you can see this right there. And as the car goes by, it's in slow motion, and you can hear like a church bell chime. And the kid is just staring at them as they go by in the van. So you'll see he looks into the van and he sees Doug wearing, you know, his nun mask on the way to rob that bank down the street. But I just love there's several scenes in the movie where they slow everything down and do it in slow motion, and this is one of them. It just sort of captures the movement, you know, captures the moment. So I'm gonna step over here and try to get a little more of it. But this is one of them. So that little boy would be standing right there, so he would see the angle like this. You know, the van would be coming right down the road. So he's staring at the van, looking at the window, and they all have their nun masks on. And then as he turns around, or I'm sorry, as they look over towards him, he's standing right here in between that grate, that door right there at that pillar. So after they pass the boy right here on the curb, this is the direction that they start driving. And this probably looks very familiar because you can see this written on the side of the building. You can see that little tower that's right here. And then the building that's supposed to be the bank is right here. It's actually a laundromat. But this is the angle that you see as they're coming down the road towards the bank. So the armored truck would have been right out front. And this is where they do the scene with the armored truck. The second bank robbery scene happens right here. This is actually a laundromat. It's not a bank. But this is where they would have had the armored truck would have been pulled up. The back of the armored truck would have been right about here, right about where that car was. Right beneath this window here is where the back of the armored truck would have been.
Can you call them back?
And the minivan turns and it pulls up. This road was not blocked like that right there. So the minivan would have pulled up right along beside it. So the armored truck workers would have been getting the money out of the truck. One of them would have been sort of jostling with like a dolly and the satchel of money, the sack of money right here. And that's when they jump out of the van and go ahead and rob the armored truck.
Don't move!
So you'll see the security guy sort of like messing around right here at the crosswalk. As I said, the armored car here, the van would have been there, and then one of the guards comes out and comes up. I think it was behind Doug, if I remember correctly. But of course, that's when Jem shoots the guard and he falls backwards. He was wearing a vest, but he falls backwards right down here onto the ground.
Put that fucking gun down now.
I got you, motherfucker.
So you'll see they show a scene from this angle where the guard is laying on the ground here, another guard is over there, and that's when Jem is telling him you should have stayed in the truck. So he gets into the getaway car and takes off.
You should have stayed in the truck. Let's go.
But that was all filmed right outside of this.
Yes, I checked.
This building right here, which is not a bank. It is a laundromat. But it does have the look of a bank, I have to admit. I would not have guessed that a laundromat was inside of this. But this is the scene.
All right, God, just take it easy, all right? Take it easy. Drive slow. Drive normal.
So after they rob the second bank, the guys come down this road right here. And as they come to this intersection right here, they make a right. So you can clearly see this store right here as they look back. So they make a right like this and head up in this direction. But when they're looking out their back window as the van is turning, you can see this store right here, and then you see a police car coming. So they've been spotted.
Shit. Oh, fuck. They must have been around the corner.
All right, so this is another road that they used in the getaway scene when they're being chased by the police in the minivan. So when they make a sharp right onto the road that I'm standing, right here, you can see this door is identical. This door has actually been replaced. But they come racing down this road in this direction that I'm filming this from. So you can see these fire escapes as well as they come down this road, as well as this do not enter sign. So when I swing around here, what they do is the minivan makes a very sharp left-hand turn right here onto this street. And it rear ends a car that was here. There was also a car there that it causes a collision. But then they make yet another sharp right-hand turn right here, and he clips this curb with his back wheels as he makes that turn. So the minivan sort of like bounces up on that side, and they start racing down the road in that direction. And something that's very visible in that scene, when they clip that curb, you can see this little, it's like a green door that's street level. You can see these as well. This building has sort of like a rounded, curved brick part to it. This is all visible in that scene. So when they show them rear end the car, as I said earlier, he hits it here. Then they show an angle kind of back like where I am in this direction, where they show the two cars kind of collide. And then it goes racing off down in this direction. But you can see how narrow these roads are. I mean, these are one-lane roads. But the interesting part is when they come down this road, in reality, they turn onto it. But this is where the scene in reality would end, because this is a very busy area. The Freedom Trail literally runs across here. You can see some people coming out again. There's like a super busy, well, not today necessarily, but a very touristy plaza that's over here. You can see over here is a fountain. Over here is a church. But for filming, they would not have been able to come racing down along these roads. So what they did is they actually stopped the chase scene from this location and moved it down another spot. So I'll show you that as well. So I jumped ahead to the next location, and they pick up the car chase, and it would have come down this street right here. So there would have been a police car chasing the minivan, and they clearly passed by this, like, it's like, it almost looks like they were like garage doors at one time. At least this one does over there. But it's like a brown rectangular painted piece that's right underneath these windows under here, and that's clearly visible. The minivan is coming down this road. The police car kind of hits it, pushes it to try to wipe it out. And they cross in front of this building. There's a scene where you can see the doors to this building. You can clearly see this archway that's right here in that scene. It's all visible with all the glass. So they hit the van to try to spin it out, and it passes by this pizzeria right here. So you're gonna see that red awning, the sign for the pizzeria. But when they push the minivan, it ends up right over here. I'll show you right where it comes to rest. It ends up essentially stopping like right here. So I'll get across the street and show you. So I know that's a little confusing. I had to watch the scene over a few times to get it right. But they come down this road around the corner from the pizzeria. The police car hits the back end of the van, causing it to slide and spin, and it comes to rest right here. So it'll be in there. It's sort of like an angle like this, and the reason you can tell that is this pillar right here, it's got more sort of like a granite-looking base, and then there's a doorway with a window, and then other windows here. See this little grated area that's right above the window right here? As the car is sitting at this angle, you can see all that behind the minivan. So you can see this above the roof of the minivan. You can see, as I said, this is like a granite, and this is the brick pillars. But this window and everything is visible. So the minivan would have been pointed in this direction. So of course, a shootout scene happens right here. So everybody goes scurrying. You know, bullets are flying and everything. This is the intersection that took place at. So the police car would have been out here, and again, minivan would have been right over here, sort of like diagonal. Go, 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 But this is the intersection that happened in, and a lot of people would probably, you know, who are familiar with the north side would recognize this restaurant here. There's the sign that's visible in that shot with the red awning, as I said, and this is that it's sort of a quirky intersection. It's like a four-way intersection with a big area that sort of everything flows into. There's a road here, over there, here, and over here. So when the van turns on this road, it comes towards me, it comes in this direction, and you can see this building in the background as they make that turn. But this is the last road that it goes down until they make the exchange in the getaway cars. So as they're driving down the road in the direction that I'm going right here, you're gonna see this little street sign right here it says Foster Court. This is where the Jeep Grand Cherokee comes out, like pulls right out in front of him here and slams on the brakes.
Let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go, let's go!
So the Jeep stops right here, the minivan stops right where I am, and then of course, the police cars are coming right down here on this road.
Stop it!
So this is where they open fire. The Jeep is right here, as I said. They take like the gas and the hair, and they throw it into the van, set it on fire. They open fire on the police cars that are here.
Let's go!
And then, of course, the road's blocked now that car's there. The Jeep, they all get in the Jeep and they go racing down this hill right here. So they make a sharp left-hand turn right here, and I'll show you down at the bottom where they took that turn. They come racing down this street right here, and as they turn, he hits the curb right here. See that manhole cover? He clips that curb as he makes a left, our right as we're viewing, and goes in that direction.
Dino. What? Close the bridge. What? Close the fucking bridge!
Alpha 407 are all en route to the north end of the Charlestown Bridge.
They're going for the bridge!
Okay, so when the guys were on their way trying to get over the bridge, this is the intersection that you see during filming. So the Jeep, they were in like a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It would have come screaming around this corner right here. It would have gone in that direction. Okay, so as you can see, the bridge that I'm about to show you is under construction right now. The bridge itself is right here. In the movie, it had sort of like a metal grated portion of it that was out towards the middle that went across the river. So you can see the river right here. It's like it was paved, and you can see right here where there's some steel. That's basically where they've cut the bridge right here. But when it went out, right up in here, I'll show you some pictures if I can, show you what it looked like. It had some steel girders that were above street level, and then this portion out here was sort of graded. But this is the bridge that they were trying to close after the robbery. You can actually see the part of the bridge that's in the background. You can see those cables and columns. That's a bridge that runs essentially parallel to this one. But this is the bridge that was used in the movie The Town. I'll try to get you a few other shots of it, but it's not going to look quite the same as it did during filming. Okay, so this is the exact spot where the guys make yet another car exchange. This is where they pull up in the Jeep Grand Cherokee after eluding law enforcement. They pull up right here in front of this building. So if you look to the left of this picture, you're going to see sort of like a gate in the corner of the building. The Jeep pulls right up in here, and this is where the guys hop out. And as they're getting out of the car, all four of them sort of freeze. They look across the street, and then you see down this little road that kind of goes behind these buildings. And this is where you would have seen the cop sitting in his car. There would have been like a front loader doing some like construction work, and the guy just sort of like freezes, realizes like he's witnessing this. They see him, and it's actually sort of a comical part of the movie. So the four of them are looking at him, and he just sort of turns his head away, and then they get out of there. But his police car would have been sitting perpendicular to this road that you see here in this shot. Okay, so I'm standing at the location where Doug and Jem got into a fight in the movie The Town. And I'm going to show you exactly where some of those scenes were shot right here at this spot. Let me just pan around and show you what I'm looking at here. You can see those, I don't know if they're like townhouses or condos that are over there. There's a fence, there's a wrought iron fence that runs all the way down alongside the cemetery that's visible here. And they show the beginning and end of this scene from kind of back here farther. So you'll see like a shot back towards where I'm standing of the cemetery. Not quite a drone shot, but just a high camera that was shot that was back over there. Now, in the scene, there's a pole that's right here. And this is where they show Jem standing here at the cemetery waiting. So he's literally standing, kind of leaning up against this pole. And eventually Doug shows up, and they show Doug walking in this direction. So when they come over here, they kind of meet right here, and they're having a discussion. And this is where Jem is telling Doug how the florist has a new job lined up for him.
Florist. Florist what? Came through.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Lodge, Dougie.
Doug is basically telling him he's going to walk. He's not doing it.
So you're not going? No.
Now, I like finding exactly where locations were shot, exactly where the spots were that were used, and I'm going to show you that right here as far as the fight goes.
I don't know who the fuck you think you are, either. You aren't letting me or not letting me do shit.
So the fight took place right here. So this is where Doug and Jem start to fight.
If you want to see me again, come down and visit me in Florida. Go!
And if you remember, Jem pulls out his pistol and kind of hits Doug with the butt of his pistol in the back of the head, and Doug falls into this fence right here. So it took me a few minutes to go ahead and identify exactly where that fight took place, because if you look at this fence, it looks the same. It has these wrought iron posts that are separate. make up the sections of the gate. So it runs from all the way down here, and it comes to sort of like a point here. This part's straight, and then right here at the point, it kind of goes across as an angle, and it runs all the way down there. And some of this vegetation has changed since filming. So you can see the parts that are over here of the bushes that are sort of grown up through the posts. And the thing that threw me off was this tree that's right here. This has definitely grown. It's much, much bigger than it was during filming, you know, a little over 10 years ago. But the reason I was able to tell this is exactly where that fight took place was this little guy right here. And I'll show you what I mean. See this little crooked, bent pole, the part that's there? Now, there's a number of them that are like that. As I go up and down the fence, I see a number of them that are like that. But the reason that I can tell this is where that took place is a few other things. This pole, see how all these are short that are right here? And there's like a support one in the middle, and then they get short again until you get to the main posts. This is all visible in that scene in the town. Because there's a fracture. There's a concrete crack right there. There's a fracture in the concrete. And then you see this little guy right here, this little dip, like a little dent, a little chunk that's taken out of the cement. It all lines up perfectly with that scene. So you'll see that pole, you'll see that fracture in the cement, that little tiny notch that's taken out of here, and then the second little one to the right of this main one is bent in. That's all visible in that shot.
In the 302.
So when they show Doug fall into the fence, he falls into the fence right over here, and then he's sort of sitting on the ground, and then his back is up against the fence, and his head is sort of in the fifth opening here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His head would have been right here. His back would have been like up against those bars, and he's leaning up against this. He's like sitting on the ground, but leaning up against the fence right there.
In the 302.
And then you look over here and you'll see these recognizable features of this fence that let me match it up perfectly. Now Jem would have been right over here, and there's also another feature that's visible right here. You have this bar that's kind of bent in. Let me kneel down a little bit. See how it comes in a little bit? That's all visible in that scene with Jem.
I remember he looked at me, and I don't know who was more fucking surprised he wasn't dead, you know, him or me.
There was a bar that was right in here roughly that has since been fixed. It was kind of bent in as well, but one of these has been sort of somewhat straightened. But this is the key spot right here. So when I back out here, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Doug was there, Jem was there. Look at that bar right there. Look in the still shot here. Notice the crack in the concrete, the little tiny, like little piece of missing concrete there. And that, of course, that second little post that's bent in, all recognizable in the shot. Now, also when they're fighting, they show a few different camera angles. You can see through the fence. There's like a retaining wall for the hillside here. It's brick with a little section that's cut out with some steps. You can see that in right directly through the fence as they're shooting. And then when they show Doug, he's standing here. You can see Bunker Hill Community College across the street. You can see the corner of that building behind him when he's arguing with Jem. But this is where that fight took place, right here. And as I said, I love to match these things up perfectly. So this is the location that was used for the fight, and then of course the discussion between Doug and Jem after.
I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. But I'm leaving. Don't get up. How you doing, Fergie?
Rusty would kind of be sitting off to the right. Fergie would be straight back.
Do you think I'm gonna put Joe Flipperhead on this? You're gonna do what I ask.
Let me ask you something. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're an old guy with a fucked up face who don't know his glory years are behind him. I ain't fucking working for you. Got it?
Okay, so this wrought iron fence right here in front of me is also, this is also the spot where they show Doug. He's walking along the sidewalk right here in front of that wrought iron fence. And that's when he looks over at Claire's and notices the wreath is hanging out front. There was like I think it was like a yellow wreath So he knew that Rusty and Fergie knew that's where Claire lived. And when he sees the wreath, he looks over and Rusty's getting into a car. So you can see this wrought iron fence, how it comes down here and comes to the end. And that scene was shot right about here. You see that staircase, those two windows. So when Rusty gets in the car, this car wouldn't have been there, but it would have been roughly where that other one across the street was. So Rusty would have gotten in his car right in here, and then he drives away, and you can see those stairs, those steps, and those two windows as he goes across the center section.
Hey, Claire. I just want to talk to you, just for 2 minutes, okay? I'm sorry. Just listen to me for a second, all right? I will never lie to you again.
Okay, so this is the upper patio in right field of Fenway Park. This is where Jem and Doug would have been at the Red Sox game talking about the upcoming robbery that they were about to pull off.
How long do you think it's going to take Rusty to dump the inside man when this thing's over? You should have picked better horses. It's gonna be a motherfucker, you know that, right?
On trips and do filming locations, anytime that there's a hotel that's used, I try to stay in that hotel, and not only in that hotel, but if there's a specific room, I try to stay in that as well. And that's what I did in this case. This is room 214. This is the room that was used in the hotel that they filmed the scenes for the town in. Now during filming, this hotel was a Howard Johnson. It is now called the Verb, V-E-R-B, the Verb. It's a really cool hotel. Anybody interested in staying here should check it out. Check out the website. It'll do it more justice than I will just speaking about it on here. But I just wanted to focus on the room itself. It's been remodeled since filming, but there's a lot of things that match up identically, and I can show you some of those things. So initially, they showed Doug in this room. So Ben Affleck would have been standing right here. He opens up the window. So, the blinds are, I already pushed them over to let some light in so you can see. And this is Fenway Park, right outside his window. So just like in the movie, there's Fenway. Just like in the movie, he was looking out. Now there's a tree. I'm gonna try to point. See this tree right here? There's a see how they have these little sort of pennant type markers that go down the side of Fenway. This one right here is being obstructed by the tree, but it's for 2004, and if I zoom in, you can kind of see it hiding behind there. So when Doug opens his window, you can see that right over his right shoulder, so like from right where I'm standing. So when he opens the window, you see that straight across from him in this room. So that's definitely one way of lining everything up. The other was the obvious, and that is when he opens the door to let Krista in, it says 214 on it. So I'll take you over to the door. There you go, 214. And when the door is open, you can see directly across the hall, you see 213. So those are the easy way to match up these two rooms.
What the fuck are you doing here?
Now, when Krista comes in, she walks over here and puts Shine right down on the floor here, her daughter Shine.
Press.
I need to talk to you.
Not a great time, hon.
I know.
Now, this is a king-size bed, so I'm guessing that there was probably a queen in here when filming took place because there was more space on the floor here. This wall also had mirrors on it. I don't remember if it was a closet. I'd have to watch it again, or if it was just mirrors on the side of the wall, but this whole thing was mirrors, so you could see the reflections when they walk over here up against that part of the wall. So after Krista comes in here, and she and Doug are standing right over here.
Okay, well, what do you want?
There's somebody here.
There's another way to tell. This connector door to the adjacent room, there's a lock and a handle. It's been an updated door, but it's on the right-hand side of the room. When you walk in, it obviously swings out that way. The bed's on the right-hand side. The door opens this way. Everything lines up perfectly. I mean, sometimes the hotels change the numbering of the rooms, which I was hoping didn't happen in this case. So they said it was the same room when I checked in, but I was just looking at other things just to assure myself that this was indeed the room that they filmed in. Another scene happened right in here. This is where when Krista tells Doug about that she knows about the necklace. I think it was like a Tiffany necklace. He kind of pushes her, not kind of, he does push her up against the wall. So there would have been a picture right here on this wall, and he pushed her right up against this wall, when they were arguing.
It's my... Who told you that? Answer me. Who told you that necklace? Not a fucking joke,
around my neck.
So he tells her she's got to get out of here. She's got to leave. So Shine starts crying when Doug pushes Krista up against the wall. So he comes over here, picks her up, and he takes her and puts her back out here in the hallway.
Honey, come here, sweetheart. I know. It's going to be okay. It's all right.
We're coming with you.
You're getting out of here.
Dougie, we're fucking coming with you.
When he does that, when he sets her like right here on the floor. You see how there's some light shining in here, some natural light? It's because right out here is at the end of the hallway. So you can see that light shining on his back when he sets her out in the hallway.
Time to go. Okay, here we go. Time to go, sweetheart. Okay?
Like after Krista goes out, he kind of forces her out of the room. He slams this door.
Lock myself. Don't you know me?
That's the main scene that happens in this room, and then they do another scene in here with Gloansy, Desmond, Jem, and Doug. They're all getting ready. So Doug is standing over here looking out the window.
Hey, will you quit fucking doing that? You're making me nervous.
So that was all filmed right here in this room. So it's cool, it's cool to think that, I'm a huge Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner fan, and it's cool to think that, a scene was shot right in here. So, and plus you get to stay in the room where something like that was filmed. I love movie locations, and as I said, anytime that there's a hotel that's used, I try to stay in the exact room. So this wasn't sure I was going to be able to get this room on this trip, but it all worked out, and this is where they filmed those two scenes, right inside this room. Okay, so there was one more scene that was filmed here in this hotel, and it was the hallway scene when they are leaving room 214. So you can see the door right here. When they exit the door, you can see this window at the end of the hall, and then they start to walk in this direction. So you see them walking towards the way I'm filming. They pass by this door, and they get to about right about here when the scene cuts off. Okay, so I'm on the backside of Fenway over left field. The green monster would be inside of these walls. These are the seats that are above the green monster. It's the backside of that. But they showed Doug and Jem are walking up this sidewalk right here dressed as police officers on their way in to Fenway. And you'll see that they pass by these bike racks here. There's 4 bike racks right along here. So they come walking up the sidewalk right here. And they're going in this direction right here. So you'll see them pass by 2 garage doors. These 2 green garage doors right here, they walk right past these. The camera's more kind of like this, sort of watching them, and they sort of round a corner, which is right here. So they kind of go into this little cutout. where there's a will call ticket window right here at Fenway. So what they do is they walk up to this door right here, and Doug knocks on it. And I can show you exactly where he knocks. I always love looking for like little attention to detail type things. But you see this brick pattern, obviously, that's on the wall here. Do you see how there's a line of smaller bricks right here? How it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one above it? Doug comes right over here and knocks right like this. So he's like, and the door opens, and it's a guy who works here. He knew that they were coming. This was the gate that they were sent to. So he's waiting for them to come. So the gate lifts. He looks at the two of them standing there, and he just says, "Officers." So they step in. He leads them into the bowels of Fenway Park. So if this gate were open and you went straight in just as they did, you would be in the left field corner, right? Like if you went in here and down the steps like they did, there's a little entry point, like a little garage door of sorts that you can get on and off the field in that corner. And I'll show you that from inside. You can see that there's like a grounds crew vehicle that like kind of is on the warning track. It makes that bend. It's right in through there.
Down here.
Now right over here, this is where Desmond gets in. So if you remember, he kind of climbs over the fencing, or the rails I should say, and he goes down on this grate and he lifts it and he drops in with his bag. So he goes down there, and that was his point of entry. And the funny thing is, I did notice it is locked. You can see the lock on there. But this is where Desmond would have gone in when he was going into Fenway. All right, so when Jem and Doug are pushing the bags full of money on the cart through the concourse of Fenway, right above their head as that scene sort of pans out, you can see this pillar that has the markings on it. It says grandstand and right field roof. You can see that visible in the shot. So they sort of pass underneath it on the concourse. And as I said, as they walk out towards trying to leave Fenway Park towards the ambulance, you can see that above their head. Okay, so when Doug and Jem are walking under the halls of Fenway, they come right down this ramp right here. And you can see a guy, I think he was like carrying like beer right over here. But they come right down this ramp right here at Fenway. Okay, so this shot of the interior of Fenway Park is where the shootout scene occurred after they had robbed Fenway Park. So a lot of action took place right here in this general area. This is the interior corridor of where D gate is. But over here on the right is where the ambulance and the armored truck would have been parked. And then as Doug is sort of looking around, he notices it's super quiet, and he knows something's off. You know, for a while they were walking through here, you had all the Fenway workers were around, and then all of a sudden everybody disappears. So Doug is sort of looking around. He's standing in this general area, but he's sort of looking. He's like kind of like looking like a 360. So he's sort of turning and listening and looking. So when Doug looks across the street, looks out the window, you can clearly see this building in the background with all the police cars, you know, FBI agents. They're all out here on the street. They're totally surrounded. This corridor right here is the corridor that Jem looks down, where he sees the reflection of the mirror. That's when he swings around and grabs, you know, the assault gun from the back of the ambulance and starts shooting down in this direction.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm over here on the side of Fenway that was used for the attempted getaway scene. You'll notice that there's 2 bay doors that are open here. It looks a little different than it did during filming because they've done some renovations to Fenway's, even on the exterior, but you have these 2 doors and then you have this brick facade area, and then there's 2 more doors that are down here. So during filming, you'll notice that there were a few things, I'll splice in a picture here, but there's a few things that were on this facade that are no longer there. But the main reason I'm showing you this side of it is with these 2 doors. This door right here is where the armored truck was. If you remember, right inside this gate here, the armored truck was right there. That's where the armored truck driver was in the truck when the guys were trying to get the money into the ambulance. They opened fire through that the little hole that was in the side of the armored vehicle.
Guys, get the plunger!
And the guy comes driving, like barreling out of this gate right here towards where I'm standing. So the truck comes right towards where I'm standing, and it comes across the street and into this parking lot right here. Now, if you remember, it goes over like an embankment, and I'll show you where that is. The embankment is right here. So you see how it has a pretty substantial drop off. That's obviously the roof of a car. So this is where the armored truck like careens off the side and kind of rolls over on its side. And as it does that, as it's falling, you can see these green posts. You can see those green posts. They shot that angle back towards this way when that truck was rolling like that. Okay, so this location that's right here, this is actually the team store for the Red Sox. But see how they have the red steps that are right out here? When Doug looked out the door from right over here, he looked across the street over here towards the team store, and Agent Frawley was kind of like crouched down here behind a police car, and Dina was right over here by the steps. And that matches up perfectly because you can see there's sort of like a doorway that has like a grate. It's like a grated screen on it, and this large window, this bank of windows that are there. They're right here. So there was like a police car that was sort of like sitting right here. Frawley was crouched there. Dina was right there. And they're looking across. That's where Doug was looking out. In the movie, they made it seem sort of like it was directly across the street. It's sort of diagonally, not much, but directly across the street from that would be right over here. But this is all visible in that scene.
I'm gonna roll out the front. The 2 of you beating out the side in the fucking cop uniforms.
Now, when Gloansy decides he's going to try to make a getaway in the ambulance, he comes out of the next set of doors, which are the ones with the Red Sox emblems on it, or the Red Sox, emblems, I guess. It came out this way, so he came flying out of those doors. And he makes a right-hand turn, our left, and goes racing down this street. That's when everyone opens fire. He had to come racing down this road. So he was taking on, people were shooting at him, FBI agents, police were all shooting at him, and he goes right by this, the entrance to the team store when a large police vehicle right here, and this is where the ambulance would have smashed into it. So they kind of shoot an angle from up high above me. Behind me is Fenway Park. They kind of show that angle, but you can clearly see these steps, these red steps, as well as this Fenway Park diagram. And the ambulance would have crashed right into the side of it right here. So unfortunately for Gloansy, this is all the farther he made it, just down the road from the gate that he left, which is right down there. Okay, so I'm standing right outside of Fenway Park, which is right here. And this roadway, alongside of the sidewalk, is where they shot a scene. This is when Jem was breaking away, trying to get the money. He was walking by himself. He had a duffel bag. He was coming down this sidewalk right here, and Agent Frawley was right behind him. So he'd been spotted. So they show Jem come walking right here. He comes right around this light pole. You see there's that light pole there. He comes walking right in between here, and then he ducks, he turns in, and there was a fence almost identical to what you see here now. There's a construction site back here again. But when he rounds the corner in between these light poles, he ducks right into this, through the fencing, and then he heads right down there in that direction.
Officer, can you hold up a minute?
Now they show Doug sees this going on. So Doug came out of a gate right down here, and he steps out and he sees Frawley following Jem. So after Jem slips through the fence down here, Agent Frawley is following him, and Jem would be walking right towards where I'm walking.
Visual on Coughlin, heading south toward Boylston, hotel parking lot on Van Ness.
And that's when Agent Frawley's saying something like, "Officer."
Officer!
So he's walking, so Jem is here, Agent Frawley is right behind him. So when Jem gets right about to here, let me back up a little further. When Jem gets to right about here, he opens fire on Agent Frawley.
Coughlin!
So Agent Frawley will duck down behind a car. He's sort of scurrying. It was parked differently. It was parked more like this. He's scurrying to get around the back side of the car. But you can see this wall right here. See this, it's like a stone wall, sort of. See how it comes up, has that sort of like a lip. Now this was more overgrown. There was more vegetation and stuff that was along here. But the reason you can tell this is where he did that is because see the break in the hotel right here? There's a doorway here. So there's a part of the hotel, we get out of sunlight. Part of the hotel's here. This is like a little, it goes in and then the hotel comes back out. Jem is standing right here. So as he's opening fire on Agent Frawley, he's shooting at him towards this direction. So then that is when Jem starts to run. He starts running in this direction. And then Agent Frawley's opening fire. Now, this side of the street over here is completely changed. I mean completely. There used to be just a McDonald's right across the street here, essentially, with an open parking lot. But you can see now this is totally developed differently than it was during filming. So look at all these high-rise buildings that are here. None of those were here during filming. And I'll show you where they shot something over here. Okay, So right across the street, again, this is gonna look nothing like it did during filming. But directly across the street where I'm pointing, right here where that tree and parking meter is, I'll zoom in a little. I'll go over there in a minute, but right there is where Jem hid behind the mailbox. There was a parking meter. There was a parking meter, as you see, then there was a gap, and there was a light pole and a mailbox and some newspaper distribution boxes were all right there. There would have been a McDonald's right here, and I'm gonna splice in an old image that shows you right what I'm talking about. So the McDonald's would have been right there. So Jem came running out of this parking lot right here, and I just showed you that scene. So he comes here, and they do like an aerial shot from like high above. Now these buildings weren't even here, so they had to have done it with like a drone or a crane or something. They showed Jem run right out here into this intersection, and then the police sort of converge on him. So there's a shootout right in here. So cops come from this way, cops come from that way, and Jem's sort of sitting out here, and he actually reloads. He kneels. I'm not going to go out there, but he kneels down and reloads behind a car. So Agent Frawley is yelling, you know, move, move, move. Move, move! So he runs right over here, and that's where Frawley hits him in the back of the leg with a I think he had a shotgun, and then you see the blood kind of splatter, and Jem ducks in behind that mailbox, as I said. Now I'm gonna go over there and show you how I know that it was exactly in that spot in just a second. Okay, I've come across the street now. So the hotel is right here. That's the entryway to the parking lot, and that's Fenway Park right there. So I've come across the street to show you where Jem was hiding. It would have been right here, okay? So where this parking meter is, right here, roughly where this tree is, there would have been a light pole. The mailbox, the newspaper boxes were all right here. And how I know this is the exact spot is this light pole right there. It's sort of like it's almost like a stone type of a concrete. You know, it's a concrete that has stone in it. It's right there, and it had a pole directly across the street in the same spot right where I'm standing, right here by this tree. Is where it was like a sister pole. It matched up perfectly, and I was able to do that obviously watching the movie, but also looking at some older images on Google Maps. I'm sorry, yeah, Google Maps Street View. So this parking meter has been updated, but it's stayed in this same spot. It's always been right here. So Jem would have been literally right here is where he gets hit in the leg as he makes the turn, and then he comes over here and leans up. Again, the light pole would have been right about there. The mailbox would have been right here. So this is where they show Jem. He is like leaning up against the back of the mailbox. The newspaper boxes were here, but this is where he has the shootout, you know, with the agents. And right before he gets shot, there was a drink that was on the ground right over here. It was just laying on its side. So he reaches down, like leans over, takes a sip of whatever was in that cup. And then he comes around this light pole and starts to open fire, and he gets shot and killed. I surrender! So Jem, unfortunately for him, met his demise right here. So he sort of like falls back into the pole. He has a couple face wounds, and this is the spot that it was in. And then when you look down the street a little further, Again, a lot of this has changed, so it's going to look very different from what it did only a decade or so ago during filming. But Doug saw all of this take place. He would have gotten into a police car down there and sort of done like a U-turn, and he goes off in that direction. So as I said, this would have been the McDonald's, you know, right here behind it, and then over there would have been the parking lot. So, you know, after the scene, they show you know, the FBI agents and the police talking to the media and the news and the press.
I jumped out of the cruiser, engaged the suspect, gunfire. Grip your wife said. Well, that's when you get out of your cruiser. Yeah.
So the building is still here, obviously. It's just not a flower shop anymore. So they changed the business. But I will show you something here off to the side. And I'll go ahead and splice a couple pictures that I have. You can see this is the hardware store here. And if you come down to the back end, you can see they've put like an addition on here. But I have an old an old picture of before they did this addition. So there's the storefront, this is the side, this is the back of it. You could see it was like an older portion of the store that was back here. And if you remember when Doug came for Fergie at the end of the movie, he shoots Rusty in the store and comes in the back. This was the section, this back section here, it just wasn't as renovated as nicely as what you see here, was where Doug shot Fergie in the flower shop right in the back side of this store.
Fergie! Prick. Fergie. Rubber moon clipped your nuts for you.
And right up here is that bay window that Claire would have been standing in when she was on the phone talking to Doug.
You want me to come where you are now?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be just like one of my sunny days.
This is also where Doug would have come back and would have planted the duffel bag full of cash at the end. Okay, I'm here in Charlestown, and right across the street from me here, right at the peak of this hill, is where Agent Frawley's car would have been parked, right about where this car is here. And that's when he starts walking down alongside of it, and he sees a note that was attached to it, and he picks up the note and reads it, and it says, "Go fuck yourself." And just as he was reading the note, like here, Claire's attorney walked by and he said it's for you, and handed it to her attorney. So
It's for you.
but that was funny. So this is the location that they used for that, right here in Charlestown.